Yeah, but I don't need a title for that.
Arielle, you do.
Have fun.
Hey everyone! Hi, welcome to Facebook Live with Osmo. We're right here at Osmo headquarters in Palo Alto, California. And we've gotten a ton of questions from students all around the United States who are wondering what coding and engineering looks like right here at Osmo. So we're going to answer some of these questions today with this fabulous group of Osmonauts that I have here. So the first thing we need to do is get to know them. So tell us who you are, what you do, and why you're here.
Well, I work here, so I'm Stanley, and I write code on the website and other places. Yeah.
I'm Arielle. I make the game pieces.
And I'm Rachel. I work on programming the games.
And I'm Heidi. I work on user experience research. So if you've ever filled out a survey or answered any type of questions about our games, that comes from me.
I'm Henry. I work on the games.
I'm Zach. I work on the games as well.
Awesome. So now we got to get to the good questions. So this first question is from Mr. Cheek's classroom in Wisconsin. Some students from Mr. Cheek's classroom submitted some questions for our engineers. And this first one is from Colby. He's in kindergarten. And it's for Rachel. The question is, or actually Colby says, I like coding because I like Obby. What do you like most about coding? Rachel, you want to take this one?
Yeah, so I like coding because I really love problem solving. It feels like I'm like solving little puzzles all the time, and it's really satisfying.
Yeah. This next question is also from Mr. Cheek's class. This one is from Israel, who's a first grader. Stanley, he wants to know, how old were you when you started learning to code?
Oh, I think I was 7 years old.
7?
Yeah. And I was programming on those like TI graphing calculators. But I was making fighting games, so.
That was ancient. That was ancient times back in the day. So our next question is for Arielle. This comes from a first grader, Parker, at Odyssey Elementary School. Parker asked Arielle, how are tiles made?
How are tiles made? Well, you first start with a prototype. So either you're making something out of cardboard or you're laser cutting something out of plywood, and then you start iterating. And eventually you're moving into 3D printing, and then you're going into tooling, which is something that's all plastic goods are made out of. So, and then we make things that are plastic, and we do that in China.
Awesome. Okay, we have another set of questions that comes from Miss Schafers' classroom, and this is in Omaha, Nebraska. Miss Schafers, she's a tech integrationist, so she's got classrooms all over the board, or all across all the levels. So she doesn't just have one classroom, she teaches all kinds of classrooms.
So fancy.
I know, very fancy. So the first one from Miss Schafers' classroom comes from Sasha, who's one of Miss Schafers' first grade students, and this question is for Henry, our very own Henry. Henry, Sasha wants to know, can I take my dog to work?
So it depends. Oftentimes you actually can, especially at smaller companies. This is our dog. His name is Lupin. He's a little sleepy. Say hi, Lupin.
Lupin gets a little camera shy too, so you're all making him feel very welcome today. Awesome, Heidi. It's from Miss Schafers' student, and it's from Brady. He's a first grader. Brady wants to know, Heidi, do you teach too?
Yes, so I have taught in the past at all levels, and I continue to teach now when I volunteer in classrooms. So yes.
Yes. Goes on forever. Fourth grader Connor, who's also in Miss Schafers' classroom, wants to know from Stanley, were you a good student in elementary school?
That depends on who you ask. I was a curious kid when I was in elementary school, and some teachers thought that was a good thing. I'll leave it at that.
We'll never know if he was actually a good student or not. Also from Miss Schafers' students in Omaha, this question is for Arielle from Georgia, who's in 5th grade. What was your favorite project to work on so far?
I really enjoyed working on the coding project. That actually started as a school project of mine that I worked with Felix and Eric. And we started off at school, and then we came to Osmo and made it a real product. So that was my favorite.
Yeah. Well, that's why we're here, for coding, the Hour of Code. And that game, if you haven't checked it out so far, check out Coding Obby and Coding Jam. Those two games are the great way to learn how to program with the world's only tangible technology programming language. Okay, this question is also from one of Miss Schafers' 5th graders. Henry, it's for you. Travis, 5th grade, wants to ask, what suggestions do you have for students interested in computers and video game design?
Oh, that's a complicated question, Travis. I can say this. Making games is an art and a science. So make sure you pay attention in math and you do a lot of science classes, but also don't forget to feed your creative mind. Do lots of creative writing, drawing, playing board games, and think critically when you play games. So think about why the experiences you're having are fun.
That's an awesome answer.
That's a really solid answer.
That was amazing. Okay, so we have some questions from our audience that we'd like to answer as a brief little intermission.
What does Osmo mean?
What does Osmo mean? Does anyone want to take this question?
I can handle it.
Okay.
So the name of Osmo we came up with in the very early times of the studio. We had been trying to think of what the product is and what the product does. We spent probably, I don't know, maybe weeks arguing about what the name of the product would be. And I think at some point we just said, why don't we just call it Osmo? And then the rest is kind of history. It sounded a little like Osmo, A-W-E-S-M-O, and then Osmo, and we kind of nailed it. So.
And we took it to a classroom as well. We went to a classroom nearby and asked students what they thought, and they all really liked Osmo.
One
That's
more
how the name
audience
came.
question. Where did Osmo start?
Where did Osmo start? Zach, you got this one?
Let's see here.
Down
The
street.
Disney building down the street.
Down
I
the
think
street.
we were renting out some of the space over there.
At a single table.
Yeah.
Osmo
All
came
around
from
one table.
Osmo came from small beginnings. It was a small table in Palo Alto, California, right here. And we've moved a couple times since. We've grown bigger every time until we finally got here to this office. But we're still just across the street from our beginnings. Okay, I've got another question. This one is for Zach. The students at Country View Elementary School want to ask Zach, how do you come up with new games?
Well, we come up with new games by doing what we call Dream Week, which is about a week period where we, before we do a bunch of brainstorming, where we come up with crazy ideas of pie-in-the-sky games we'd like to see, and then we spend a week trying to build them. And we have to be done in a week, and if we get as much as we can done in that time, and then we take a look at it and see how could we do, or how good did it turn out. And if we find something interesting there, then we go on and build that game.
We've got some photos too from our Dream Weeks, from the Osmo Dream Weeks, where we get to spend the whole week dreaming up crazy Osmo ideas, and it's always a ton of fun. Okay, couple more questions from some of our students. The 1st graders in Miss Gold's class want to know from Rachel, how do the games know what letters and numbers we're using?
Okay, so basically, the iPad has a camera on it, and so it takes pictures of the table, like lots and lots of pictures of the table, and then the game has pictures of the pieces, and then it puts it together and it looks for the same images of the pieces, and it looks in the images of the pictures it took at the table, and then it tries to figure out what pieces you played and where they were.
Yep.
Magic.
It's magic. It really is. Okay, one more question for Zach from one of Miss Brown's 4th graders. TB asks, how long does it take to code a game?
Let's see here. We'd like to think it takes, maybe a few months. In reality, it takes between 9 months to a year, depending on how large of our team.
Yeah, and how big are the teams usually here at Osmo?
6 to 8, I think, roughly. We've built games with one person, though, in the past. We've built games with, 12 people.
It can be hard.
Yeah.
Okay, a couple more questions from the audience.
Is there a way for my students to submit game ideas?
That's a great question. The question was, is there a way for my students to submit game ideas? Yeah, Heidi.
So yes, you can always email support for any sort of issues you have, and we get a ton of those emails. You can also volunteer to be part of our beta testing program, and you can also, if you get asked to participate in any sort of questions, we do a lot of surveys and we do a lot of interviews that are remote of people, how they're using Osmo, because we know how we'd like to use it, but we don't know how you guys are using it in your classrooms, in your homes. And oftentimes the coolest ideas do come from how people are using it that we hadn't considered.
Yeah, we absolutely keep track of every suggestion that you guys send us. We have a big old tally board.
Yeah. Yeah.
Another question, do you have a store or only online stores?
Oh, do we have a store or only online stores?
I think we're online. Well,
So we sell Osmo on Amazon. We sell Osmo on our website, playosmo.com, and you can find it on a lot of other places online. But we're also in stores. You can find Osmo in the Apple Store. You can find it at Target, Best Buy, Toys R Us, and a couple other stores around the United States, Canada, and all across the world. Yeah. Okay, I think we have time for one more question. Shout out to Miss Meltzers Class for providing us with awesome questions. Hey, everyone. Hi, Miss Meltzers Class.
Hi.
Before we go, I have one last question, and it's for all of us. What is your favorite thing about Osmo?
Probably that.
Lupin is on. Obviously, Lupin. Stanley, you gonna get us started? Yeah, Heidi.
So I love the people. I love everybody that I work with, and I get to collaborate with all the teams, whether that's hardware or different game teams or design, and that is just awesome. Yeah.
So what I love about Osmo is that we work in really small teams. I've worked at a bunch of different jobs, and it's very hard to have a big impact when you work at a big company because you're one person on 60 people in a project. But here at Osmo, we work in teams of usually less than 5 people, so you can do a lot and make a big difference.
this is the only company where I could make a pizza making game with animals. I love that we were able to do that.
Yeah, and I agree with Henry. I love the small teams, and I also just really love the stuff we make. Like it just feels awesome to just work on such a great product.
It's awesome, Mo.
It's awesome.
Yeah, I couldn't say it better than how they have. It's so great to be able to make something that you had this idea and to see it and to actually be put into production and to see it being made and to help kids, it's a great feeling.
Huh. That's mighty noble of you. But no, I think for me it's what I work on and who I work with. A lot of jobs you have to choose between the two, but here it's like I have a happy mixture of both.
Yeah.
My favorite part of Osmo is you guys. All of you guys out there that are playing these games, and you get to learn through fun and tangible play. That's my favorite part of this, and it wouldn't be possible without you guys. Thanks for tuning in today. This has been our Hour of Code panel with our engineer Osmonaut. But it doesn't end here. Now you need to go forth and code, build something amazing. If you haven't checked out Osmo Coding Jam or Osmo Coding Adventures with Abby, go check it out now. It's a great place to get started. And we just launched a new game, Osmo Coding Duo. So go check that out.